the story right, and now I see, yeah. Bro Sanchez, just one who's out there in the fight to teach. Bro Sanchez, you got the story right, and now I see, yeah. Bro Sanchez. Peace, love, welcome back. And today we're going to talk about how the Earth Mother became the Sky Father and how the church erased the divine feminine. And I want to say salutes to all the women in the house. Let me start a poll because it looks kind of empty out there for the chat. Let's see what's a good one. All right, I think I found a good poll and we're going to start. Just to give y'all a poll. Make sure you like and share on your way in. We're going to use syncretism, sacred geometry, and etymology to show y'all how the Earth Mother became the Sky Father and why that's even important and what does it mean with a big shift of consciousness that took place on the earth, because going from the Earth Mother to the Sky Father is also synonymous with the transitioning from the pre-dynastic time to the dynastic time. So this is going to be another her story to her story, her story to his story situation. Hit the like and share on y'all way in. See, can y'all see my whole board? Yep. You know, Earth Mothers plural. Shout out to all the sisters in the house. Y'all gonna love this one. All right, so look. The age of the Earth Mothers is what we call the pre-dynastic age, right? And the Sky Father right? Dynastic or tech age versus the organic age. The organic age. So So the earth, excuse my handwriting, and excuse my dogs too. But the earth mothers equals the pre-dynastic organic age, and the sky fathers equals the dynastic tech age. We're going to show y'all how the whole world started relying on the sky fathers over the earth mothers and what they both represent. Fathers equals time, mothers equals space. You got two things in the universe that we got to talk about today. And I can go ahead and attribute, I should have left a little space, but let's take another color here and let's add space right there. And space and time equals yin and yang, masculine and feminine. The earth, or what we call the mother, represents the ether, which is the container for time. Time isn't a thing. Time is a construct. Well, that would be a thing, but I mean, time isn't just the motion of the stars. It's the pattern that the motion of the stars make, which is the Fibonacci spiral, which gave us the god Saturn, or the sky father, who we call time. His name is Saturn because this is the god of death, and time ages us, whereas mothers give us what? New life. So the yin and the yang is dealing with life and death, or the constructive and destructive forces of nature, and you need both of them, because in order for you to rebuild a person, you gotta destroy them and recreate them at the same time. So the very act of resurrection is embodied the two polarizing forces, yin and yang, dealing with construction and destruction, and that will also be embodied by a man and a woman laying down in the bed, and he tearing that thing up. That's destruction right there. See, that's destruction. But what happens out of that chaos? Order comes. That's a child. Time is created because each person is a pocket of time, and that time is able to have a container called space. In other words, we spend time inside of earth. A fish spend time inside of the ocean, and when the fish leave the ocean, it can only leave it through death. It's a death contract. You are a manifestation of time, because all you are a release of energy that's coming from your higher self. When your higher self is done releasing its energy in its world, the result of that would be a new version of itself that it created here called BROSANCHEZ. The only thing it's gonna take from this world is the mind of BROSANCHEZ. It don't need the body, because the spirit can shapeshift to BROSANCHEZ anywhere it goes in the future. It just basically downloaded and scanned this person, this other layer of itself called BROSANCHEZ, and it continues on to collect more layers. But what allows it to traverse in between layers is the act of destroy and rebuild, because the soul is being born again as another layer of itself, but the old self is being destroyed by Father Time. So the man represents the bulldozers and the ball and chain that come and tear down the old building, and the woman represents the rebuilding and cutting the ribbon to create the new building. The new building represents space, and what the new building is battling against the moment it goes up is time, because the building is gonna age, and one day it's gonna have to be rebuilt again. Mother and father work together in this system, yin and yang. We lost the natural balance. In order for us to understand how to create free energy, which is what Tesla understood, you gotta think sound, vibration, and the balancing of these vibrations, which comes in masculine and feminine. And when you get the polarizing forces in unison, you create perpetual energy. So the yin yang isn't just a cosmic law, that's teaching man and woman their roles in the universe is also a patent to build energy generating technology. And when they started teaching us falsehoods about how to generate energy because they wanted to monopolize electricity and create fiat governments, when they started deceiving us about how this stuff worked, that threw us off on a spiritual level with how the forces of masculine and feminine work. It all goes down to negative and positive on a battery. The people that don't want you to have power don't want you to have balance. It ain't that they just got a thing for chaos. It ain't that these people just beefing on balance and, oh, we just hate balance. They hate you being powerful. And your power lies in you understanding the balance of these polarizing forces that we about to talk about. So before we talk about the balance of these forces, space and time, well, actually, let me speak a little something about space and time that I think will be necessary while I'm actually got this can of worms open. How does space and time exist in unison, like man and woman, yin and yang, sun and moon? What is time in relation to space? If masculine and feminine represent the biological roles and spiritual essences of man and woman, how does that translate to space and time? And we know that these two forces, yin and yang, they don't exist side by side. I know y'all thinking that, what do you mean, Sanchez? The yin and yang is a symbol with the man on one side and the woman on one side. That's a lie. That ain't what the yin yang is. The yin yang is one symbol that's created by two different polarizing forces, and it ain't man on the side of woman. It's a symbol that represents man merged with woman. In other words, marriage, merge. The yin ain't on one side and the yang ain't on the other side. They're intertangled like this, like a 6 and a 9 locked together. They're interlocked. Now, this would be man on this side, woman on this side, but that ain't what the yin yang showing us. The yin yang is showing us something like this, with both forces together, coming one. So we got to understand how to take two polarizing forces and merge them together. And that's the secrets of how your higher self merge with your lower self, and how you even get a good and bad side or a left and right brain. Because the left brain and right brain lets us know that, well, we don't have one brain. Now, they teach us that we have a brain, but that's a lie. You have two brains, and you got a left one over here and a right one over here. And the left one is what we use to strategize evil, to plot, to connive, to manipulate, to plan budgets, anything dealing with secular, instinctive survival activity. All right. The right side is don't even care if the body it's in live or die, long as it does good and it feels good inside. And this is how you want to separate the two forces, because you'll understand how they bleed over and start to embody themselves as man and woman. Because what happens is that the feminine force of the universe don't care about the outer. It's more concerned with how I feel on the inside, whereas the man is more concerned with the opposite. Now, the roles are blurred. You can't look at the two sexes today to see their natural state, to even see the balance in the yin and yang, because we all off whack. But let me give a shout out to Josh Waring. Big facts, bro. Sanchez, remind me of that 3D yin yang that intersects. Keep cooking. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. So let's talk about how time and space relate to each other. That's what I was going to get to. So what is the yin yang? What is the yin yang? This is what the yin yang is, and this is going to show you why the two forces are layered within each other. They are layered within each other, and it isn't like the yin on its side, the yang on its side. We've been taught that that's a lie. These two forces are intertwined. Now, if you look at this hurricane, what do you see? Do you see the 6 and the 9? If you see the 6-9, let me get some yin yang 6-9 symbols in the chat room if y'all can see the 6 and the 9. See, this is a paradox. It's a real paradox because it's like it's the glass half full or half empty. Is it a 6? Is it a 9? And when you see one, you cancel out the other. This is all man is. Man and woman are a paradox. And when you looking at man, you don't, when you just picture a man, right? Adam. You looking at one side of a paradox of the consciousness of God could have became masculine or feminine. So it's just like the law of perception. Let me show you something. You can perceive the image one or two ways, but you can't do it both at the same time. The reason why I said man and woman is a paradox is because the fact that man and woman walk this earth together would be like the universe literally perceiving both of these objects at the same time, saying an hourglass and two faces. Now, most people can't see both of them at the same time, and it's damn near impossible. Try it. Let's blow this up. Let's put it on the big screen. You can try it. Either you're gonna see an hourglass or you're gonna see two faces. And that's like saying either you're gonna be a man or a woman when you're born. This is like your soul choosing its gender on a spiritual level. It ain't got nothing to do with sex. It got something to do with how the two sexes perceive reality, intuitive or instinctive. So if you see the hourglass, you're a man. That's Father Time. You see it instinctively. You're going to see a grail, which is a mechanism, a tool, which is what most men going to see. Most women going to see two faces. You see what I'm saying? From their nature. If you were to do this on a group of men and women equally, more women would see the two faces. But this is my theory, right? And my whole thing is this right here. Man and woman represent the two default polarizing templates that God could have been. And some people may sum them up later as good and evil, but I think that don't do them justice because these laws ain't really dealing with morality. And I can't say that negative acts equal masculine and positive acts equals feminine. That'll be too simple and too vague. But just know that when people was teaching about these two polarizing forces, they didn't have a moral system involved in it. It was more so dealing with balancing the cosmic energy within the self. So it wasn't nobody telling you, hey, be good, don't be bad. It was a system of trying to make everybody be balanced within their own personal, balancing out their own personal energies. But let me say this, right? Before we get into the deep thing about the yin and the yang, I just want to open up with what the 6-9 represent, and then I'm going to get into how the earth mothers became the sky fathers and what that means. This hurricane represents space and time. The woman represents the medium for the hurricane, right? And what is that? The ocean. You can't have an ocean excuse me, you can't have a hurricane without an ocean. You see what I'm saying? You can't have time without space. Now watch this, right? This gonna sound crazy to y'all, but you can't have a ocean without a hurricane. Why is that, Sanchez? Because the ocean, as we know it today, with all of its marine life and beautiful ecosystems, would turn into a big swamp if the North Pole stops stirring. What is Sanchez telling you? I'm telling you that the ocean, because there's only one world ocean, but they separated into different densities based upon mediums where two oceans don't mix, right? But you can't have these oceans without the North Pole. It'll be a big swamp. All the fish will die, and it'll be parasites and mosquitoes everywhere. It'll be the biggest swamp ever known. We probably be extinct. The ocean is actually being fed from an osmosis that's taking place at the North Pole. This is an osmosis effect. So let me show you some about what the flat earth is, right? Because now you want to see, because before we can get into anything, we got to get the cosmology down. This is what's happening. The oceans ain't just sitting there. There's a stirring up. The oceans are constantly being stirred by the North Pole. See, our oceans are a big old hurricane. If you can see the earth from the top down, the black hole at the middle of our AE map is the eye of a hurricane. So all this water is basically a big ass hurricane. Look at this. We live inside of a hurricane that's creating an osmosis effect, and that helps feed the atmosphere and all that, y'all. This osmosis effect is what recharges the air, renews every breath, cleanses the water every day. And look up osmosis water vortex. Here it is. All the thing gonna do is create a North Pole in your dang on machine. It's gonna keep the water doing what the North Pole doing to the oceans to keep it charged. It's gonna turn it. This is the 6-9. So now this thing, this spiral in the middle of this cup is why Moses is holding up a spiral snake, and Moses is standing in between two pillars of water, because Moses is why we say osmosis. The osmosis effect, creating two pillars of water with a dry vortex in the middle to keep the water charged. It was a scientific process personified as an archetype called Moses, creating a dry space with his arms open, but he's personified in a dry space that's separating the waters from the waters. This would be God, which is the word guide, which is the North Pole. We use it to guide us as well, right? All needles point to the spiral, because if you drop a toothpick in a sink drain, what will happen? The toothpick will spin around until it points down the vortex and gets sucked down like this. So if you fill up a sink full of water, drop a toothpick in it, toothpick gonna float because it's hollow. But when you pour the drain and it creates the vortex, the toothpick is gonna spin around until one of the tips face the vortex, and it'll fall tip first down in the vortex. It'll situate itself head first to fall in head first. But the thing is, this basically what our compass is doing magnetically. It's responding to a vortex. But what happens when your compass get directly at the North Pole? What does it start doing? Spinning around crazy like this. Because what will happen if the toothpick just got caught up in the vortex? It'll spin around just like a compass would do at the so-called North Pole. But check it out. Check this out, right? Moses with that serpent in between the two pillars is representing the osmosis effect, And this takes place at the North Pole. Without that, we would all die. This is what's creating every day, every new day. This is what's creating new days out of old ones. It's doing it by recycling all old things into new. And because of this law, you're gonna be recycled too. Death is your energy getting old, or what we call getting old. And so when things get old, all things that get old got to be born again through what's called a divine feminine, right? Which is the very eye of this hurricane, representing the way out, which is a bright ball of light, which is what the female egg is a Stargate portal for a being to transition from its old self to a new self, because the only law in the universe is what? Nothing can stay the same. The only thing can stay the same is change. All energy must continue to transform itself, and the universe don't care if it's for the good or the bad. It let you make that decision, but you're gonna transform. So what we call life and death is energy on a path of endless transformations, trying to define itself to its most efficient form. Energy flowing. This dictates quality energy from low quality energy. The only difference would be the flow of energy. But we ain't gonna keep going too scientific right now. I want to show you how space and time coexist together. Space represents this medium that we call the ether. This medium don't have a shape. Time gives it a shape. Just like the ocean water don't make the pattern of a spiral. The hurricane does that to the water. You see what I'm saying? So this hurricane is chaos, but the absence of this hurricane is constructive force, right? Fishes can live and swim in this area where, you see what I'm saying, or whatever. Life can continue. The water is more settled. But the two forces coexist together. Chaos exists within order. But what this is telling us is that even chaos is being ordered in some sort of sacred geometrical pattern that we call a spiral or vortex. And you cannot create this vortex without both the yin and the yang, the ocean and the energy, the space and the time. The time represents the energy that passes through the space, right? Which is why time passes, just like a hurricane will soon dissipate. A hurricane will soon pass. All storms will pass. Time itself isn't infinite. It exists within infinity, which is the ocean. So the ocean represents infinity, which serves as a medium for time to be born over and over again, because a hurricane don't happen forever. It comes and goes, right? That's why our earth is constantly destroyed and rebuilt over and over, and our earth has to constantly have great resets, because our earth is just a big ass hurricane. Let me show it to you again. This is why we have great resets, because our whole earth is just a hurricane that comes and goes within the primordial ocean. And as it comes and goes, it recreates itself every time, like when they say Hurricane Katrina is back, y'all, it's like a resurrection, like Christ is back. You see what I'm saying? Like the return of God, because these are natural patterns on earth and in heaven, as above, so below. So our earth is a huge hurricane that comes and goes, but every time it comes, it's that same old earth again. And why does this earth always resemble its old self? Because it's just a hurricane. It's the flow of energy. It's very predictable. You see what I'm saying? So this is one of the oldest symbols on earth, showing us the merging of 6 and 9. And this is how you get a tornado. And this is what DNA is. So now that we got that out the way, it's important to understand now why the name of the show is Earth Mother to Sky Father, because it'll show you how the knowledge that I just gave you was hidden behind God, or the concept that the world have of God today. So before we had a God and a devil, we had a God and a goddess, or what we call a God and a diva. The diva became the devil. So when they took away the God and the goddess and created God and the devil, the two polarizing forces of the universe for the first time started fighting each other. So the knowledge of the vortex at the North Pole was lost with the new mythology that the church created of God and devil. Because what the church did was separated the 6 from the 9, and basically no one could understand the balance that we see in nature behind the sun and moon, the masculine, feminine, because on a subconscious level, they rewired our mind with God going to war with the devil. And this is why everyone who born in those cultures got the biggest divorce rates. Now think about that. In cultures in the world where they teach about a God and a goddess being together, they have basically arranged marriages, and them people be together happy forever with their wife. In other cultures, where in these Western countries where God is always fighting against the damn devil, the man and woman, some reason, keep fighting against each other in the household, and these cultures got the biggest divorce rates. Now just let that sink in a minute, because it's something about the religious programming that is subconsciously teaching man and woman the relationship between these two roles. Now, even though we don't call them masculine and feminine, we call them God and the devil. Subconsciously, they register to each part of the brain, your masculine brain and feminine brain. And it's always telling your body that the right brain is the weaker brain and the left brain is the stronger brain. And it creates what's called a man's world, where even the women operate in their masculine brain or their left brain, because they created a system of survival. This tilt the scales to one side to activate our inner light and third eye. Again, balance, yin and yang working together 50-50. You can't do that if you got everyone constantly thinking about how I'm gonna eat, how I'm gonna feed myself. Now everyone is in their masculine mind or war mind, survival mind at all times, no matter if you man or a woman. It's a man's world, because the system creates a need for you to basically abandon your right brain. It makes the right brain seem like dead weight if you only thinking like a capitalist. Right? You only using your left brain, and you're only perfecting that left brain. But the right brain don't really care about material gain as much as it does equality and justice for all, and feeling good in my heart versus being guilty of doing something wrong. That's more of the right brain. But that's why they had to attack the divine feminine. That's associated with the right brain. And in order for you to create a capitalistic system, you got to have a system that caters to the sky father time, because the only thing that would justify greed in the capitalistic system is what? You can't live forever. You got one life to live. You better ball out for your fallout. Why? They threatening you with God again. Everything is about being God-fearing. But who is God? Time. How do they get everyone to operate outside of your natural intuitive behavior? By fear mongering. But you don't see the fear because it's so subtle. It's as subtle as someone saying, hey man, you only live once, you better ball out. That's fear. That's saying, you know what? Time is beating me up. I'm aging. So let me hurry up and have fun and do all that. And what happens is you end up in jail, dead, and you don't even get the time now. It's a trick. You see what I'm saying? The fast lane, the YOLO type mentality. But it's crazy because they threatening us with the Father, which is time. And the only way they can do that is convincing us that we're not immortal. If we all knew that we were immortal, that's why they had to create heaven and hell when you die. And that's another reason they had to take away the Great Mother, because she represents you being resurrected over and over again through the sacred womb that we call Polaris right here, which is the eye of the hurricane. That's the sacred portal. That's what they battling against, what they waging war against. And one of the biggest blasphemies that the synagogue of Satan has done, they've incorporated the symbols of the goddesses into their modern deception, which is why if you look at the thumbnail, you can see what I'm saying here, but we're going to show you way much more than that. Now, let me show you what the goddess represent, right, and how she got desecrated. See, when they say you was born in sin, sin represent the goddess. You was born inside of the goddess Nut, which the Hindu call her Mama Kali. She represent the ether. You are a hurricane that exists inside of an ocean. That's what you are. Every one of us is a hurricane in the ocean, a spiral of life, a vortex of energy. And when your hurricane dissipates, your body decomposes. Your human form is a direct result of the hurricane vortex pattern of our spiritual energy. But let me show you what I mean so I don't just throw around big words. Let me show you. Here's what I mean. This hurricane, this vortex of energy, this is what it looks like right here. That's your crown chakra and root chakra capping you inside of a meat package. You see this vortex? That's what's at the North Pole. Is showing you what we are. What do you mean, Sanchez? Well, look at it this way. It's the Big Bang, an explosion of spiral energy. So from a side view, this is what it looked like, a holy grail. Again, you can either see two faces or you can see a holy grail. If you look at this explosion of energy, you looking at Father Time, which is the hourglasses. But outside of time, outside of this little hurricane, this little vortex, it's what? Man and woman kissing each other, like I just showed you in the perception picture. So within this doggone thing is chaos, and it seemed like division. But heaven, outside of this dust cloud, your mama and daddy is in unison. But see, it's a paradox, and it's a paradox of polarizing forces. Again, let's pull it up. These two faces are actually unifying. You know, once they come together and kiss each other, that's what creates time with you in it. See, when a man and woman bring their two faces together to kiss, they create an energy field that we can't see. But that energy field, even, you know, the space in between their faces is resembling an hourglass, but the energy field that's created is the sand running through the hourglass. It's in motion on a spiritual level. But that energy coming together starts to open up a portal for a new soul to come to the earth when they go all the way through with the ritual that we call sets, which is when the six fully merges with the 9 and you get that hurricane. Because what is that hurricane? It's a spiral staircase. This is what allow a soul from the higher realm to walk down here to the underworld. It's how you got here. You took a spiral staircase called DNA. What the mom and daddy didn't create this thing called DNA. What they did was open up a portal called DNA. DNA isn't a thing that's going through your body. DNA is a place. It's a stargate, a portal. DNA is the other word for Eden. Rearrange it, you get Aden. If you put ADN, Eden, DNA. But Eden or dinner is where the chewing takes place, is where the ether is being ate up, is where the portal is being bit open at. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at the eye of the hurricane, that shows you DNA, dinner. Rearrange the ether, the eater. Because this thing gonna eat up everything around it. You see what I'm saying? So when this energy field, when this hurricane is created within the primordial ocean, they call it the destruction of Eden in a lot of mythologies. Or paradise lost. Paradise lost just mean the ocean was still, the ocean was settled, and paradise was lost when this hurricane showed up. And that's the body, which is giving you a false version of yourself, because you are not the hurricane, right? You are the energy of the still energy of the ocean itself. When that energy get out of balance, it still finds a way to balance itself out, even in its chaotic form, and that's how you get this spiral. It's a paradox because it represents ordered chaos, which is an oxymoron. That's like saying a free slave. But ain't no other way to say it. It's forcing you to refer to it as the paradox that it is. And it is never gonna give you just the satisfaction of being this or that. And that's why the people who were thinking like the Greeks, they had a problem with the yin yang, because in their sciences, it's either right or wrong. It's either truth or it's a lie. But the ancestors who understood this deeper knowledge understood it reaches a point where our left brain can no longer reason anymore and nothing makes sense. That's when you hand it over to the right brain. The Greeks don't know how to do that, so they limited themselves to one simple understanding of the universe that they call physics, right? And their whole way of rationalizing is, if it ain't this, it must be that. But the ancestors had that way of rationalizing within duality. But they understood that the duat was a paradox, it was an illusion. And that in order to see totality is to understand how these dual forces can share the same spot, how the truth and the lie could both be right. That's when you unlock the mysteries of the universe. But that's the paradox of creation. A true lie. A true lie. You know what I'm saying? Or ordered chaos, basically, which is another way of saying a true lie. Because if it's ordered, how is it chaotic? And if it's chaotic, how is it ordered? Well, that paradox is embodied by what we call the spiral of life. And this is why the word spirit got the word spiral in it. But your DNA isn't, when they say your DNA is flowing through your veins, it's that your spiritual energy is permeating through your body and around your body. That's what they're calling DNA. That's your cosmic frequency. It's your vibratory energy. If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, you think in terms of vibration, frequency, cymatics. This is your fingerprint right here. Everyone's fingerprint looks like a hurricane. Your fingerprint is literally a miniature form of the vortex that's created in your central nervous system. So if you look at your fingerprint, right, it starts with a black hole in the middle, and then just like the spiral of life, look what happened. It's a ripple effect. And if you think all of this come from a random big bang, then you're cuckoo. Now watch this. Everyone's fingerprint is their own unique way of creating the spiral. Because if I told 100 people to do a spiral on a piece of paper, everyone would make the same symbol, but it'll be different. And again, what is that? A paradox. how is it the same and different? This paradox will be present it don't matter what layer you dealing with. When you dealing with this kind of information, you won't be able to avoid running into this paradox. And people who can't, some people, they can't take that, because in science and the way that the Greeks and the barbarians think, the way that they think, if it ain't this, it ain't that. The way that they think, if man is stronger than woman, then man should overpower woman. They can never see in totality how, hey, maybe nature didn't make man stronger than woman for him to overpower her. Maybe nature made us stronger than woman for us to be woman's protection, not to be her bully and lord, but a servant. Just like the police supposed to protect and serve, not just protect under tyrannical dictatorship, because that makes an imbalance. Because in order for her to create life properly, she gotta be in the right state of mind. So part of you protecting her from outside threats is you protecting her from your own toxic ass too, so she can play her role. But the balance ain't there, because the way that the Greeks got us thinking is that man is made stronger than woman, therefore the masculine energy must be exalted above the feminine energy, which is stupid. That's a very simple, dumb, barbaric, fool's way of thinking. Instead, that's like saying, see, but think, these the same people that said the sun brighter than the moon, so we gonna exalt the sun over the moon.
Stupid.
See, they got a this or that mindset. With their mindset, they will never, ever figure out the secrets of creation.
That's right!
With the mindset that they got and what they got the whole world under, you can never figure out the truth, because it got you seeing either this way or that way. But in order to solve the mysteries of the universe, you got to turn off your left brain, which is always saying, which one the best? Which one the strongest? And then you turn on the right brain and say, how can I make these two work together? How can I blend this one with that one? See, a Greek would say, this lemon is more sour than this sugar, so we're gonna drink sour ass lemon juice and worship the lemon juice over the sugar. Why? Because it's more stronger and more of a presence, right? Like man versus woman. But that's stupid. You'll never get lemonade like that. Someone spiritual had to create lemonade, nigga. Someone spiritual had to say, let me take these opposite things and put them together. When you drink that, that's gonna be like a child made from man and woman, nigga. Yeah, you couldn't have no dumbass invent lemonade, not with the Greeks' way of thinking. The Greeks probably just squeeze the lemon in a cup and drink it.
Stupid.
Why you did that, man? Because it's stronger. It's the strongest juice. If you can just get over it, it's a man's juice, right? But I'm just giving you the way that they think is stupid, man. And that's why the whole world messed up. Because everyone follows the masculine. We demote the feminine, and now we can't see the unison in how the universe is created in unison. It's called a universe because it's made in unison with two polarizing forces. But how did we get to this point? Shout out to Joshua Tellerton. Thank you for the super chat. Give me a minute to load up some slides now. Time to get it in real quick. And I want to show y'all something about the Great Mother. You can see Mama Callie. Let's play this video. I'm gonna have to take the music off of this. If you watching this on the replay, we had to remove the original music for copyright reasons. And the song that we was playing with this is Poison. So if y'all want to go ahead and you can, you know, the song Belle Biv DeVoe, excuse me, I'm embarrassing myself showing my lack of hip hop history. So can someone type in the chat room who created the song Poison? That girl, because I'm showing right now that I'm going to get my black card taken for me for forgetting that. Who made the song Poison? I'm going to get my black card taken for that. Come on, man. Who made that song Poison? What was that group called? I'm slipping like a motherfucker, boy. BBD. I thought it was Belle Biv DeVoe. So to the people on the replay, y'all can mute this song and y'all can go play that Belle Biv DeVoe and it'll show you. I think that if you listen to that while you watch the video, it'll bring the video to life. Because what I'm gonna show you is one way how they desecrated the Earth Mother and they turned her to the Sky Daddy, but they demonized and desecrated her symbolism. So the symbol of the goddess, it became the modern day poison symbol. And that's what this video gonna teach y'all is 7 minutes. But we gotta replace the music when we edit this thing after the fact. Let's play it though. So what the video teaching us is that when you look at Mama Callie, and you can see this all over the world through different cultures, I'll just scan through it, right? Her symbol is basically an X with a line through it. And the cube represent the yoni, which is the yoniverse. So basically, I want to teach y'all some. I don't got to play the whole video because we definitely going to get struck. But let me go back to the whiteboard and we'll skip around here. I want to show you something. I want to keep my original stuff on the board, but I want to add some more. I want to show you that this is the symbol of the goddess. It represents the ether or what we call space, right? Space. I'm going to show you why though. This is the template for the cube or the hourglass. So listen, time is born out of space. You see what I'm saying? And space is born out of time. The 6 is born from the 9. The 9 is born from the 6. And people may say, Sanchez, but we all born from women. We all born from our father and our mother. When your father ejaculates his seaman, right? His swimmer, he just gave birth. When the mother ejects the human from her womb, she just gave birth. You see what I'm saying? Both of them is giving birth. Birth is just the process of new life being discharged from another life. So stop sleeping on ejaculation as birth. That's your first birth. Now the mother takes that sperm and she incubates it and transforms it to a human, and now you're born again, and now you got to have a second death. This ain't your first death. You died when you was a sperm cell and you resurrected as a human. But here is the symbol of the goddess right here. This is called Mama Callie. She got 6 arms. The Dogon got this same goddess in the form of a Kananga. The Dogon Kananga is Mama Callie. Now let me play this video back because the animations is what I want y'all to see, because back then I had a program that allowed me to do these animations very easily. But check this out. From the start. Now, do y'all see the desecration? This for my I know my ladies gonna be feeling today's stream. This for y'all, man. But do you see the desecration? This was a goddess. Let me put her head on her body. That's the goddess. That's the great mother raising her arms up. But why does the great mother look like Jesus Christ on top of a mountain on a tripod? Look, it looked like a person busting out of a mountain with their arms open. Why? Because the great mother is a symbol of resurrection way before Christ. That's right. The great mother was the symbol of resurrection way before Christ. You got a person coming out of Mount Calvary right here, the mountain, busting up with their arms up just like Jesus. But they desecrated this symbol right here. And what did they turn it to? Wait for it. This symbol. You see there? Let me put them side by side. So a symbol that meant life now means death. Why? Because the death force is the masculine energy, father time. Everything out of balance, and we are celebrating the death energy, which is why so much death, war, violence, disease, all that, because that coincides with men being in charge, operating under the left brain. It will only create a death system, which is also another way of saying a debt system, a loss, a system of loss. This translates to fiat government and the corporate system, which is the corpse, which is death. So they retranslated what this symbol means, and they got us under the retranslated energy. We're embodying the retranslated energy, which is the masculine destructive force. And this is big time desecration, because these energies was made to invoke feelings, collective awareness, collective paradigms. Just by the symbols being on the earth over time, they're speaking to us. These are the loudest things in the universe, and ain't nobody listening. The symbols and all that, ain't nothing louder than them. All of these glyphs and symbols that have been left from the ancient world, these things are so loud. If we can hear them, they would deafen our physical ears. They outside of our 20 to 20,000 hertz frame as far as audible signals. And they way past 20,000. We can't hear into that. But these symbols are emitting sounds. They are basically the embodiment of cymatic frequencies about spiritual concepts, and these concepts are being manifested in a physical realm because they are vibratory energy that exists in an unseen spiritual realm. And those energies required archetypes in order for people to understand the paradoxical nature of the unseen versus seen world, and that's how you get the Great Mother. She solves the riddle of creation, allowing us to access the creative parts of our being, allowing us to see beyond duality and war and survival and instinctive energy. This is why this is so important. It ain't just worshiping the womb, it's worshiping the energy that is dealing with birthing something or creating something new versus the energy that's about destroying something old. And it ain't about shunning the masculine energy, but using them both in balance, right? Again, a way to look at it is, I'm going to destroy this building so I can build a better one and a new one. I'm not just gonna destroy this building because I'm a dickhead, right? So when you only know the destructive force, that's what it end up being. Everybody just destroying without rebuilding. See, it'll be different if people were saying, well, we broke him down so that we can rebuild him up. No, in today's world, they just want to break you down and keep you down. I would rather it be like the military, because now you helping that person. You ain't just tearing them down. You tearing down all of the fucked up and bad things about them and replacing it with something better, and you rebuilding them up as a new person. It just can't be destroy. It gotta be destroy and rebuild. And when you take away the feminine aspect, the rebuild aspect is just a world of destruction and chaos. And ain't nothing been. So when you got destruction without rebuild, that's the world we live in now. People just being destroyed, and it ain't like it's for good cause. It's just to keep them down. Shout out to Omar Little. Thank you for everything you do. Frequency, vibration, and balance. Thank you, Omar. I appreciate y'all for y'all support. Let me make sure make sure y'all share this video. Shout out to Stacy Galore. Thank you for donating to the show. I missed that. Okay, there we go. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, y'all. So when you talk about yin and yang, the woman is the yin, the man is the yang. But you know that the word yin became the word jinn, right? The word D-G-I-N-N. It became yin, jinn. It became nin, which is why the feminine, the nine. When you talk about the 6 and the 9, the 9 is the female, the 6 is man. Remember, 6 is the number of man. So why is the number of females 9? Because 6 is inverted. Its inversion is 9. 9's inversion is 6. So man and woman are inversions of cosmic energy, creating a polarity, duality, and a paradox, which is what life is. You can't have one without the other. Can't have night without day, sun without moon, man without woman, truth without lies. It creates a paradox to where polarizing forces coming together in unison to create this experience that we're having right now. So when man and woman have sex and create a kid, they're opening up a vortex for energy to drop down from a higher plane into this world. DNA is a spiral staircase, what you call vortex, allowing two worlds to be merged temporarily. So when the soul walks down this staircase, when the baby falls into the flesh, his mama and daddy open up the gates to the underworld for him, which is why sin is blamed on Adam and Eve, because they corrupting this story of masculine and feminine 6 and 9, creating the gateway to hell. You know, so souls from above can spiral down into this earth realm, and the laws of a Stargate says that as energy passes through the vortex, it must transform. Nothing can exit the other side of the Stargate the way that it came. Why is that? Because, think about it. These Stargates represent the wormholes that connect different points in time. So in order for Sanchez to have an out-of-body experience and go ahead and re-travel back to a universe where I'm 10 years old, then the nature of these Stargates says that since they are connecting 2 points in time, you will never pass through this thing and stay the way that you was on the other side. Because down here in the earth realm, my name is Bro Sanchez. But in the higher realm, I'm a greater version of myself that's even better than Bro Sanchez. And as my soul climb back up this stairway to heaven, I'm going to be transforming from Bro Sanchez to God. And when God falls down this stairway, he transformed from God to a human, to Bro Sanchez. Transformation must take place as energy passes through here, because there's a different version of you on each side, and you got to go ahead and tap into that character as you go into that universe to play that role. So this little cylinder is like the Superman phone booth that allow the soul to change costumes as it travel through different worlds. Every time the soul step into this little cylinder, it changes clothes like Superman in the phone booth. And that's because each world requires the soul to play a different role that it's playing in that parallel reality. And so this process of transformation takes place through this black cube that they worshiping, which is a vortex of spiral energy. And another way they drew out this whole concept, which is what the goddess represent, recreation and rebirth through the vortex, right? Another way that they embodied this symbol was right here. That's what this thing represent. It's an embryo or incubator, or like a cocoon. Transformation take place when the caterpillar goes through there, and it never comes out the other side of the cocoon the way that it entered it. So what am I telling you, right? The earth around you right now is a cocoon, and your body is not your final stage of development. You're transforming right now just like a caterpillar inside of a cocoon. And as the caterpillar sleeps, it's dreaming that it's a butterfly, which is why as it transforms to a butterfly, it don't have to learn how to fly when it break out the cocoon, because the whole while it was sleeping, it was in flight simulator school inside of its dreams. It wasn't wasting time. It was saying, hey, listen, I'm about to be a butterfly when I get up out of this sleep. So let me run a simulation where I'm already a butterfly so I can try my wings out that I ain't even got yet. So soon as the caterpillar transform to a butterfly and break out the cocoon, it don't have to learn how to fly. It just take off. And people say, where did it learn to fly? In its dreams. See, the whole thing about the baby is learning how to interact with the outside world by projecting itself into it in its own imagination. The baby already crawling around and asking for milk, which is why when it come out the womb, it know where to reach. What's there? That's some milk right there. Let me reach up and grab it. You don't got to teach that to the baby. It's picturing this. It's remote viewing this world. It's running simulations in its sleep. It ain't just wasting time in la la land. It's learning even in its sleep. So a lot of things it knows the moment it come out, because the baby was making good use of its time. And that's what the soul is doing right now. As it sleeps on a higher plane, it's learning in the body. And guess what happened to the butterfly in the dream world when it's learning how to fly? It crashes a lot of time. Why? Because it's not a butterfly. It's faking like it's a butterfly in the dream. But that's why when it wake up as a real butterfly, it ain't gonna make no mistakes, because it made all those mistakes when it was dreaming. All of the mistakes that you making in this life are meant for you to make here. This is a simulation that your soul coming to learn from. But the people who took the balance away, they want you to feel guilty for making mistakes. Why would that butterfly feel guilty for crashing in its dream? None of that ain't even real. That guilt gonna keep the butterfly from waking up. The thing about it is this. It ain't about making mistakes. It's about learning from them. Every time the butterfly crash in its dreams, it get up, dust itself off, and fly higher and try again. When the butterfly finally learn how to fly in its dreams, it's gonna wake up and it's gonna bust out the cocoon, because leaving the cocoon is leaving flight simulation school. Leaving the cocoon is leaving the dream where I was learning how to be what I now am. So once we become God in the simulation, the act of transforming ourselves into God will literally make the illusion around us fall apart. Just like when the caterpillar becomes a butterfly, when it tries to spread its real wings, it breaks out of its cocoon. And that's how Samson breaks out of the simulation. That's important because it goes back to the Great Mother. And the reason I taught all that was so both men and women who listening to me can learn from this, so that people don't think this is just some divine feminine womb worship type stream. I'm showing you what the Great Mother embodied. It's inside of man and woman. The parts of you that continue, that's born over and over again, it's through a cosmic womb. So what other thing would you like a womb to be personified as than a mother? Right? And that's what the ancestors did. So no one talks about themselves being born again through the Great Mother. They talks about us worshiping a God that was born again through Mary. And Mary is not your real mama. Mary represents the black hole at the middle of the earth. Meru. Meru is Mary. And Meru giving birth to Christ is the black hole giving birth to the light. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about. The black stone that they worshiping, that's the goddess. Watch this. Here she go right here. The story of Jesus' virgin birth is not a biological birth. It's talking about the yin and the yang. It's talking about the cosmic forces. The reason Jesus is a baby is because light is represent immaturity. Darkness represent maturity. So when we talk about masculine, feminine, the feminine energy is more mature than the masculine energy. So man's chaotic energy, tearing things up, that's like would be considered childish or whatever. But the God of the Bible, basically jealous, childish, tearing things apart, that's the energy everyone under. But in order for us to get to our next phase of spiritual evolution, we got to bring back the knowledge of this, what's going on at the North Pole with balance. So if you see the Virgin Mary right there, she represents the North Pole, which is why she's in the middle of the dome. You see her in the middle of the arch, holding Jesus. And another way of looking at is this is science right here. She represents the cosmic womb, which is the portal. And the portal, this black hole at the center of magnetism, it's where the light of creation is born from. That's Jesus. The Christ, which is the Christ. The Jewish word for yarmulke is kippah. And the word kippah is like cipher or cipher. The K to the Jewish people is like how we use the C for ceiling. We don't call the ceiling above us a killing, right? We pronounce the C as a S. And this K sound in the Jewish language, it ain't pronounced kippah. it would be more so sifa, which is where we get the word cipher from, which means to pull, to cipher something from someone, or another mutation of cipher means to siphon. So this pulling energy is what? Feminine, absorption energy. The female is the magnetic force or the pulling energy. The male is the driving force, which is the push energy. The male is the drive, push energy. The female is the drain, pull energy. And you can see that being embodied with the sun and moon. When the moon is out, you feel drained. The moon is making your body release certain chemicals to combat the driving force in your body that the sun gave you. So when the sun rises up, it gives you certain energy, certain boost to drive you, right? But when the moon come around, it does just the opposite. The chemicals it start to be released in you is actually to combat those energies that the sun gave you that morning, right? So the moon is draining you, the sun is driving you, and the push and pull forces of universe is always at play. That's even embodied with inhale and exhale. You inhaling and exhaling now, and that is saying push and pull. You're pulling in air, you're pushing it out. This is a law of the universe. Even your heart is doing that right now. It's contracting, expanding, contracting it, pulling, pushing. So this is a cosmic law. And even, think about sex, push and pull, basically. So everything is embodied in this law. If you can look at what's happening inside our mind, the left and right brain is pushing and pulling this energy like a tug of war match, and to see what this energy is going to manifest as, and this will turn into you making a decision, whether good or bad, instinctive or intuitive, right? This battle is always happening. They call it the battle of good and evil, but this is a battle that neither side never gonna win. This is the churning of the Milky Sea in the Hindu with Vishnu. Neither side gonna win. It's a cosmic battle that's telling us the story of perpetual motion that's gonna take place forever, which is why I said neither side is ever gonna win, because the universe gonna keep making it to where night, day, live, die, masculine, feminine, 6, 9 is balanced, and it's just gonna keep taking turns. And that's even embodied with dark age, light age, dark age, light age. We go through ages of ignorance, ages of knowledge. So when they say you can't have one without the other, if you want truth, you gotta have lies. Why? Because anything you make come into existence, it will also manifest its polar opposite at the same time. There's a law in the universe called duality. Anything and everything that exists must exist in two states at the same time. That's a negative and a positive state. That's what create the torus field, the firmament dome, and the Sheol bowl together. Because at all times, heaven and hell must coexist together as one thing that we call the universe. And because these two coexist together and neither will ever win, the only thing that's going to come out of that is continuous transformations. And that was the objective. Because that's the secrets behind free energy. You don't create new energy. You keep transforming the old energy into a new form of itself and rerunning it through the same mechanism, and that flow of energy can go indefinitely, and you can get power that way. Power literally lies in the merging and unification and balancing out of different forces that don't like each other. So it's literally you create power by creating peace, by saying, hey, y'all two people hate each other. I'm going to put you in a room together till you learn to get along and become best friends. That's how the Yin Yang symbol is created. And that symbol represents power. But how do powers come? When we all work together. So there's something, a system in the world to keep everybody who different from each other hating each other. That's the opposite of cosmic law. It's deeper than man can't get along with woman. Blacks can't get along with whites. This one can't get along with that one. None of the polarizing energies of this earth are seeking unison. They're seeking war. And that's because we mind fuck the masses with the new religious system, giving them God fighting the devil versus God getting along with his goddess. When you program that in our spiritual psyche as a collective, then the man and the woman, it'll be like the Garden of Eden. It'll be a beautiful utopia because heaven is the balancing of energies or making things even. And that's why heaven is what? Even. You know that the H is silent. So when you saying heaven, you're saying balance or even. And the word balance is what? Ball lance. Why is the word balance ball lance? Let me show you. Saturn is a symbol of balance. Quit being scared of Saturn. Ball lance. When you take the ball and you lance it, because the line, the earth, that's the lance. That's Geb, this is Nut. Together they make balance. That's Nut and Geb, the circle and the line. And how is this recreated? When the sperm enters the egg. So let's give Geb a little tail. Look at Geb inside the egg. That's all Saturn is. Now let's flip it this way, and what do we get? A reptilian eye. There go your reptilian eye. Here, your reptilian eye right here. Let's take the head off, and that's your reptile eye. All this spookism is just balance. When you stop seeing the spookism, you see the balance. The sperm pierces the egg, and this is how the earth is created. The sperm represent your masculine energy or your negative energy. The mama, the egg, represent your higher energy from the higher self. The mama is opening up a gateway to heaven. The daddy is opening up a gateway to hell. And what happens is the higher self fall out of heaven toward the earth, and the lower self climb up from hell toward the earth, and they both merge together to make the you that I'm talking to now with them two brains. You got a left and a right brain. One of them brains is for you to do evil with. When we doing evil, we using our left brain. When we doing good, we using our right brain. Now, guess what's so crazy? When you do good in this underworld, in the world where everyone doing evil because the collective consciousness voted for evil here, so the knowledge of evil is going to be more prevalent than the knowledge of heaven or good. People going to know all the tricks of hell and how to be connivers and gangbang, all that, but not good stuff. But when the energy shifts like that, because we following the masculine and we don't have these forces balanced, right? When people do good in this world, it won't make sense no more. When everybody was vibrating on a high level, it made sense to do good. That's just returning back to the earth. Even today, if you take your check and give half of it to the homeless, people will laugh at you like, what the hell wrong with you? That don't even make no sense. See, just random acts of kindness It's mind blowing. Why? You live in a capitalistic world. It was mind blowing to have a whole family of children sleeping outside with no food, even though you had all that abundance. One time on the earth, that was mind blowing, but the energy was different. Everyone under a different vibration today. So good acts are senseless. People will say, love don't gotta make sense. Love makes sense. We just don't understand the good acts that we do and why they benefit. Like a person will say, Sanchez, I ain't saying you wrong, but man, what's the purpose of knowing the truth? What's the purpose? Like, if you feed the homeless, it ain't gonna make the world no better. This shit still getting, so everybody got a defeated state. And it's basically a survival mentality to where I'm just trying to feed my family and store up water and food in my little castle and prepare for the war on earth, you know, type shit. Anybody operating outside of that survival instinctive mentality, people in this world that's operating under that paradigm is gonna look at you like you don't even make sense. Because giving anything away for free in the world of capitalism is stupid. It is in the world of capitalism, not in the original system. We do good acts and they make us feel good, and we tell ourselves, I don't know the logic behind what I did. I just did it to help that man because I felt good. But in a capitalistic world, it don't gotta make sense. Like, it don't gotta make sense why he decided today I'ma just give this old woman $50,000. I just felt that way. Some you feel. And it just, and the thing is, you don't get nothing back from it, which is why it don't make sense in a capitalistic system. Because anything you do in capitalism must be a way to capitalize. But see, some things we do, it's just operate outside of our capitalistic mind. And when we do that, it don't even make sense. It just don't. But if enough of us start doing those random like acts of kindness like that, that's the war we waging against the system. Because it's saying that you can turn off your left brain, which is the part of you that's just thinking for you and yours. We never turn that off, which creates systems of greed to where a handful full of folks hoarding up all the resources in the world for themselves, and you have a lot of third world poverty countries because you never turn off the survival mindset. You never store up enough. The whole concept of greed in the capitalistic system is a result of us never turning off the left brain. Because in a natural balanced world, yes, I would say, let me get me some for myself. And then my right brain would come on after that and say, but wait a minute, let me make sure I leave some for everyone else in the community. That's all it is. See, that's called heaven. You create heaven, that's called being considerate. But the system we got says, let me chop this tree out the ground, take the seed out of it, grow it on my private property, and charge everybody else for the fruit. And if you ain't got enough money, you can't get none of this shit. It's mine. I capitalized off this thing, and now I'm showing ownership over it. You can't own nothing in this world because none of us brought nothing here. Anything that you possess here was here before you got here. It's basically belonged to the universe. You just borrowing it. But the whole thing is there was a system of reciprocity of consideration to where you didn't just exercise left brain, you exercise right brain. So that's the person that's saying, look, I'm going to reach in here and grab me some, but I'm going to make sure everybody else can have some too, where the capitalists just dump the whole shit in a backpack, so to speak. But the whole thing about masculine and feminine is giving and taking. So that's like a person that's saying, you know what, I grabbed too many. Let me put some back. I'm taking some, I'm giving some to make sure I got the right balance amount so everyone can enjoy said thing. That's heaven. Heaven is even, balance. But so hell is when a few people can enjoy the luxuries of life, or the beautiful, whatever you consider the good things that this world has to offer, but no one else can. And that system is justified through all of the doctrines that we use to justify this capitalistic system. This system is based upon the doctrine of Father Time. And why is that? What drives the spirit of capitalism is fear. It's what creates a consumer. When a person go ball out and spend every penny in their account for stuff that's gonna deteriorate over time and ain't gonna help nobody, they convince themselves to do that by saying life is short and I only got one life to live. So Father Time is like a belt that they use to create the consumer or to drive capitalism, which is why in every capitalistic system you have a patriarchal system, a patriarchal religious system. Shout out to Cadsway. In most communal, tribal-based reciprocal systems, they have a goddess, and often she's like a form of Ma'at, symbolizing balance. Which is now I'm showing you why they got rid of the Earth Mothers and gave us the Sky Fathers. The Sky Fathers are up there so they can look down and be bougie and be basically watching everything you do. And that's to say that if you following your earthly masters, you will be rewarded monetary blessings. That's a Father Time capitalistic religious system. That's what prosperity gospel, that's your church, your modern day church. And they have to have a religious system to justify the capitalistic system, because if they don't, the two would conflict with each other, which is why the real Jesus went up in the temple flipping over all the tax collector boxes. There have always been clashes between the original spiritual systems and the rising capitalistic systems that the merchants were bringing to people's land. Who were these merchants? The Jews. These were merchants. These were merchants. They come from warlike worlds that's built on capitalism, and they bring these systems to our world and they colonize us with them. But when they do it, they got to get rid of our goddesses. See, because all of our ancestors had goddesses that taught balance. And the enemy can't put you in an imbalanced, inequality system of capitalism and make you take it hook, line, and sinker with your goddesses. Because the goddesses is teaching something that go against capitalism. And here is an image here to show you the mother goddess all around the world. Way before Christ showed up, you had the goddess mounted up on the mountain, and she had her arms just like Christ, but instead of being in between two thieves, she was in between the sun and moon. And that's basically to say that the central self, which is the real you, it got torn in between these two other yous, which is the good and bad you, the devil and the angel. That's creating you in the duat. Everybody that exists in the duality exists as an angel that's married to a devil, which is why you're gonna do good and bad throughout your existence. You can't help it. You can't help it. So it shows you the split in the universe that creates duality, but they personified, or they give us an archetype in the form of a feminine, because this place in the universe is where rebirth take place through a sacred womb. And they wanted to keep that thing funky and say, hey, since it's a sacred womb, if we're going to personify, we got to make it a woman because it'll be kind of gay, right? Let's just call it for what it is, right? Because then you will have God saying, you're going to be born again through me, which is exactly what Jesus doing. And it don't look right to have a guy saying, I'm giving birth to you. But that's exactly what these modern gods are doing. Jesus ain't the only one claiming to be able to recreate a person by having them be born again through them. All right? It's weird, man. It throws the balance off, right? On a spiritual level. It's very destructive. It's an imbalance in these cosmic forces taking place right there on a spiritual level with your interpretation of them through the mythologies and texts, all right? That's right! Shout out to Omar Little. I love that story about Jesus flipping over shit. It's because the real Jesus represent this image right here. When it say Jesus was turning over the coins, you can look at that like this image here. This is the first Jesus. And Jesus destroying the temple is like God destroying the earth realm, God destroying the simulation. And this whole system was born out of man's ego. Man created this entire capitalistic system out of ego. So us rising out of our capitalistic mindset is us rising out of our own ego and us rising out of this system that got us a slave. You cannot escape capitalism physically. Until you get capitalism out of your spirit, you're going to keep being born again in a slave world being harvested by corporations. This has to be a spiritual awakening. You can't defeat the system of capitalism by doing revolutions in the middle of the road. You got to get capitalism out of yourself. That's right! Every human got to get this system up out of them. This is a spiritual thing that we fighting up against. Ain't no marching and begging gonna change. This is a spiritual terrarium, and the very nature of this place is embodying the law of Saturn or the masculine, which is gonna automatically create a capitalistic system. The system that you seeking of equality and justice for all, you're seeking balance or heaven. That's it, a spiritual awakening, not a doggone system of government that you create by voting and marching. Every human gotta change the way they thinking. Otherwise, this system gonna thrive. Because this system is feeding off our ignorance and us partaking in it as a collective. We're gonna keep agreeing to manifest hell as a collective. It is a universal voting system. Shout out to Brud. He said you took the exact words from the conversation I had with some friends at my college. We need to take control of our ego. Yeah. Jesus tearing up the temple is a analogy of your soul breaking free from the body, which is its egotistical manifestation. And when the soul rises above its ego or its lower self, that'll be Jesus destroying the temple. Right? The temple is the earth. And understand that the word temptation, the word tempt, which is what the devil does, he tempt you. But the devil can only tempt you in the temple, in the earth realm. Outside the earth realm is heaven, which is where you go after you've overcome temptation. You can exit the temple. The temple is a school. It ain't the dwelling place for the Most High God. It's the dwelling place for God in the flesh. So when they say that the temple is the house of God, keep in mind which God, the lower God, the earth dwelling God, when Jesus is on earth, right? That's saying that when the soul of God enters the underworld, it will enter it in the form of a human being and a body. It won't come down here in its original form. That's going to be cloaked with the body. And the body going to have what? Temptations. And in order for the soul to get released from the body and escape the cycle of reincarnation, it got to rise above all of the vices that the body like to indulge in. And it ain't saying you can't have sex. It ain't saying you can't eat good food. It ain't saying you can't indulge in a lot of the things that the body like doing. It's saying you got to do it. You can't let it do you. Because what happens is the soul, when it enters the body, it becomes a slave to the body. And it can no longer act its own will out. It wakes up every day doing what the body tell it to do because it's horny, it's hungry, it's tired. And the concept of mind over matter is ignoring the feeling that the body have and making the decision that the soul want to have. That creates a proper spiritual system, because your body may be telling you to do stuff that's wrong, but your soul gonna always tell you the right thing. So the original spiritual system was exercising mind over matter because we knew that the part of us, that the material part of us, is bound to fall to temptation. So that's why Jesus say, greater is him that's in me than him that's in the world. Because a lot of time when we do wrong, it's because we fell victim to the flesh. But our mind was always on point, telling us the right thing from the beginning. If you ever cheated on your woman, if you ever hit your woman, if you ever murdered somebody, right? Your mind was telling you the whole time you doing wrong, even before you did. The moment you had that thought, there was a part of you saying, don't do it, I'm wrong. But what happened was there was another part of you thinking about the money, thinking about some capitalistic stuff, and that part you gave into. So you cannot live your truth if you making all your decisions imbalanced with just the left brain. Every decision you make in your life imbalanced will create a different script that your Most High God didn't write. So your Most High God is already on a higher plane rooting for you. It's rooting for its lower self to climb up Jacob's ladder and unite with your higher version, just like you climb down to unite with the lower version. Okay? Before we can unite with the Most High, we got to unite with the Most Low first. We got to slay our demons to manifest our highest version, to merge with our highest version. And that law is a universal law. Like if I tell you right now to jump, guess what you got to do? Bend down first. If I say jump, you bend down, then jump. So that's a law, a polarity law, the law of duality. You got to give something to get something. And what you got to give, you got to give up your throne to gain your throne. It's a power. In order for God, in other words, this is the secret. No God is given a throne. Every God have earned their throne through the process of ascension. So you are a God, but the process of you seating yourself in your throne requires a journey. Because even though you're a God, the universe places these gods in hell at the bottom of the mountain. And what the universe does is it places your throne way up here in heaven. And the universe telling you, as a God, if you want your throne, you better climb and go get it. Any God that got a problem with climbing this mountain to go up there and sit in a throne, you ain't worthy to be God. It's an initiation. Yes, By universal inheritance, you are a God born into a royal, advanced spiritual civilization up here in a higher dimension. But that advanced spiritual civilization, just like being an American, we got certain rites of passage that you got to do to be an American, right? You got to get your ID. You got to belong to a state. You got to go through our institutions. There's requirements to be an American. And so for you to be one of these citizens in this abode of gods and goddesses up here, every baby god have to ascend to their own throne. No one can put you in your seat of power. You got to climb the power by yourself. That's right. See, all gods are promised a seat of power. But the law of the universe is nobody can seat you in that seat but yourself. The universe ain't gonna just put God in the throne. Why? Because the universe is still giving God the option to be the devil, which is, I don't want my throne in heaven. I want my throne on earth. In order for the universe to give you the choice of being the most high or the most low, it gotta start everyone by default off at the bottom. Because what it takes to be the most high, the whole process of climbing the mountain is what molds you into a god. Now you already a god, but guess what? You gotta earn your seat of power. And the initiation process of climbing the mountain is serving two purposes. It's teaching you how to be God while making you God and making you worthy of the seat that you about to ascend to, because you deserve to sit down after all that climbing. The universe can't go against itself, so it's not gonna have, there's a law called sloth. One of the deadly sins is sloth, meaning you can't rest without working. That's a law of the universe. If you just resting all the time and you ain't working, that goes against a law of the universe. Is literally a hermetic principle that's called sloth, or what we call laziness. On a spiritual level, in order for the universe not to break its own law, its own principle of sloth, of giving some to get some, or if you don't work, you don't eat, so to speak. If you don't plant a seed, you don't get a tree. In order for the universe to maintain that law on a spiritual level, it gotta make you climb the mountain to heaven. Because if it didn't, the universe will break its own law by seating you and you ain't done no work. The universe would be now just broke the law of sloth. Somebody can ask you, yo man, what you doing sitting down? You didn't even climb up here. The reason we get to sit down is because we're resting. We're gods who work. We earned the right to sit our ass down because we just got through with a long climb. That ain't even fair for you to just not do no climbing and you sitting around with everybody else in heaven. That's like a child with an able body that's sleeping all day while everybody else get up and work. What they gonna say? You lazy. You didn't earn the right to be stretched out on this couch all day. Go do some work and then, yeah, you can stretch out, lounge out. You gotta earn the right to be just relaxing like that. And the universe ain't no different, y'all. It ain't no different. This whole rebirth process through the goddess is because if you don't work, you don't eat. If you don't climb, you don't seek. Ain't nobody gonna put you in that throne, because what's gonna justify you sitting in that throne is exhaustion. And y'all ain't tired enough. That's because you ain't doing enough climbing. And the more you climb, the tighter you gonna get. You gonna reach a point where you think you about to break, and that's when the journey gonna be over. You gonna see the throne, and you gonna say, there go my seat. And it's a big cup of water right there too. and you're going to sit down and drink from the living waters and rest up in the in the platonic realm. And ain't nobody going to be able to tell you you ain't worthy of that seat. When you sit down up there, ain't nobody going to be able to tell you, man, you ain't worthy to be sitting there. After all that climbing I just did. So that's why you got to climb. Because you don't want nobody to be able to look at you like, why you sitting around? Won't you start off at the bottom and climb? So everybody that's sitting around in heaven that didn't earn a throne, you didn't earn your respect, which is your power. Power and respect. We respect power. And the whole thing is, that's like the rich kid who everything was given to him. People don't respect rich kids. They call them spoiled brats. They respect the man that built it from the ground up. Why? That's a spiritual lesson. Ain't nothing given to you. Not in this physical realm, and definitely not in the, if you think that something gonna be given to you in the spiritual realm, you forgot that this is just a reflection of that. It's as above, so below. Ain't shit ever gonna be given, nothing ever. And you got to develop the kind of mind where you don't even want it, give it to you. Let me go get mine. Let me go get mine. And see, the whole thing is this right here. That's the mind of God. And the mind of God was hidden when they took away the goddesses, which is very ironic. Because the goddesses gave God his mind, his way of thinking, in order for him to organize his chaos, because chaos don't know organization. How did the chaotic mind of the man learn how to balance off its chaotic nature? Through the teachings of the Great Mother and the ancient spiritual matriarchal systems. What taught what? Balance. And we lost that knowledge. So man is fire. And fire without balance is called what? A wildfire. We can't control it. It's burning everything. We like fire, but we don't like wildfire. We like to tame the fire, right? And the better you get at taming fire or plasma, you start getting into holography, shaping fire, shaping plasma, shaping the most chaotic, vibrant force of the universe, which is the consciousness of God being activated. So the shaping of this fire is us dialing up heaven. We're molding. Heaven is a holographic experience. Everything is light-based. You're never going to escape light. You're a light being. What you're trying to do is learn how to bend and mold your light into this place called heaven. And the bending and molding and shaping of that light is what we're going through with every lifetime. With the left, when your left and right brain are constantly fighting with each other, if you can see what's going on a spiritual level, this is your left brain, this is your right brain, and they're doing like this in a fight. But what's really going on is they're molding. It's a molding process, like Play-Doh. And they're forming you into your greatest version. Everything good you went through, everything bad you went through is gonna culminate to you being the best you. You gotta take the good with the bad. You can't have one without the other. You can't mold a ball of Play-Doh with one hand. If you do, you ain't gonna be able to manifest what you saying up here that easily as if you can do it with two. And the left and right brain are like the hands of God molding the spirit that's in between them. So in between your left and right brain is a ball of light, and the war of the angel and the devil is molding that ball of light and shaping it with holography. Every decision you make is shaping you into your next version. And he's gonna pop out of here when this version die. We're like a snake shedding its skin. And the portal that the snake is going through is the peeling back of its own skin, removing the veil. That makes sense? The portal of transformation is the shedding of the snake's old skin itself. See, what happens is this. The snake knows when it's time to shed its skin, the more that its visibility reduces. Go watch an animal documentary. I learned this from Discovery Channel. The snake knows exactly when it's time to shed its skin because it starts to be blinded. The first layer of skin over it start to get dry, dirty, and it fades like decay. And what that does, because that layer of skin is over the eyes of the snake's reality start to get distorted and blurred over time. And when the snake can no longer really see that clearly and make sense of the world, it go to rubbing in the stuff, shedding its skin. And as it sheds its skin, the world around it is reborn visually. When the snake sheds its skin, it can see clearly. And when you get out of your body, you're going to be like the snake that shed its skin. You can see clear. The film is now removed from over you. And you're going to keep shedding. And each time you're going to see even more clearer and clearer with each shedding until you see the truth, which is heaven. The real you in all its glory. The snake ain't going to shed no more skins. It's going to say, oh, I'm going to keep this skin here forever. Ha ha, this is me right here, baby. I found myself. And that's it. Your journey is over. That snake is the Kundalini serpent. And the one that lifted up that snake in the wilderness was Moses. Moses was in between the two pillars, which brings us back here to the goddess. She was your first Moses. And here is the etymology for that. When we see Jesus with his arms open, that's Isis. Remember that the J is new. The J is brand new, man. You didn't have a J. So what did they use in replace of the J? The I and the E. The I and the E. But here's the thing. The I is also pronounced as a L. And you can see this in Mexico. So in Mexico, Jesus is right here, Jesus. But in Mexico, the L takes a Y form and you get Yeshua. For example, in Hispanic language, the L, this right here, which is, that ain't llama, it's Iama. The Ia, which is like the American Y, it's a IE, which is like Eosis or Eosis, but it ain't spelt with an I every time. You can spell Eosis with two L's, and it'll look, and I'm showing y'all why this is important in a minute. Two L's will give you the ill sound, which is why ILL is what ill. But there's a Y that you would miss if you don't peep what your mouth is doing. Eel. It's a little Y back there, which is why these cultures, that LL is a Y. You see what I'm saying? So you can have it like this. It's right here. Elsis. And the two L's will act as this L here, which you don't pronounce anyway. So, but these two L's will become like a lowercase I in our language. And instead of putting two L's to make the ill sound, you get the lowercase I and you get illsis. But you know, when you say yama, you get that little yeah. People do this with their dialect, and it makes it so where those two L's may turn into just a yama. And so you can say llama, but it's mispronouncing it. It's a symbol for L. But the whole thing is this right here. If you take the L form of this thing, you get another person who was resurrected. Who can see it? That's why I was telling you about the L, because right there you get Lesus. Guess what that is? Lazarus. Lazarus. Guess what that is? You know, another guy that was resurrected. Lazarus is Zorro. Lazarus is just another form of Zeus, because the R, you know, it becomes Zaras. They roll it. Lazarus. Lazarus. Don't you find it crazy that Lazarus and Iusis both were resurrected? All of these different people that they got interacting were their own gods in their own cultures. What we did was blended a lot of different gods together and made a movie with them, and made Jesus interact with your God. These colonizers was colonizing so many people, and each person had their own version of this knowledge of the Great Mother. Everyone had their own version, look, of Lazarus or Jesus. No matter where you went in the world, everyone was telling the same story. But what the church did, it turned that one story that united us, and all of this show you the transition of how it become Moses, Lazarus, Eusis, Jesus, Zeus. Take the M off Moses, what you get Isis. Again, when you say Zarus, Zarus, that's Zorro or Mazda. And he's got his arms the same way that we see Isis. But see, Zarus, if you take the R off of here, what do you get? Zos. You get Lazarus. And who is Lazarus? L-E is El. El Zeus, the God of the Bible, again, Jesus. Lazarus is another form of Jesus. And I'm showing you how the word break down to Lazarus. Lazarus becomes Lazarus. All that R rolling and shit got me sounding smarter than what I am, nigga. But, you know, this is very deep stuff, you know. Isis. But shout out to Kelly Nushka. Hi, bro. Just wanted to say great. Just wanted to say great presentation. My son is called Ellis, and it does make a Y sound. See there? See what I'm saying? Yep. There we go. And two, that like L is a Y sound. And that's very important when you decoding a lot of these words. We forget how the Latin influenced us. And you know, when I do a lot of etymology, a lot of the words we use in religion come from Latin and not the Greeks, y'all. That's right. How many of y'all researching like me and you realizing that how much Latin culture influenced American English language and American religion? For example, right, even when you say religion, the G-I-O-N comes from Latin. Gion. which becomes Zion, Dion, Giovanni, all this stuff with the geo, but it's another play on Gaia. The geo in geography or religion, and you know, a lot of stuff don't end in geon. If you go to Chat GPT, tell it, pull up all the words that end in GEON, very few words, and all of them are dealing with the knowledge of the universe. Even if you say pigeon, a person will be like, well, how that relate to where the Holy Ghost dove was a pigeon? You're gonna find that word, right? And another form of GION is SION when we say emission, or TION, admission. The GION is the father of all those. But it wasn't, it went from, remember that the GION and TION, it turns into the ZION, which is Zion, right? That's the same word. So just think about that. You can't say religion without saying what? Jinn. That's what I keep telling y'all. I keep teaching you about the jinn. Feel B. Because the capitalistic system is what the jinn built. We weren't capitalists. We come from goddess cultures with community and tribe. You can't say religion without saying jinn, because religion come from the jinn. And it's for the jinn, it ain't for us. When you say religion, you saying to rely on the jinn. And that's what we doing. We rely on the jinn. But the jinn used to rely on us. The AI, the humanoid, the soulless ones. The soulless ones flipped everything around. Now we rely on them. But they used to rely on us. Real talk, right? Religion was a system of reliance where the non-humans or mankind, the jinn, relied on God. Now they changed it on us. The people who are the gods are relying on the devils of the earth because we forgot this knowledge. So everybody ain't the same, and the jinn is among us. That's who maintaining this imbalanced capitalistic system. And this system can only maintain itself through religion. Religion. And religion is basically a system that teaches humans to rely on the jinn and worship the demiurge, the lower self, ego, capitalism. That's relying on the jinn. And the whole system for that is religion. And you heard that first here with Sanchez. Because I'm a smooth motherfucker when it comes to that etymology and them words, buddy. Yeah.
Sanchez.
Let's give a shout out. Let's give a shout out to Fila B. You see the wings on the Mazda Motors logo? Yeah, that's my aunt. That's the great mother. That's the great mother right here. They just stealing. These people ain't original. They stealing. Shout out to Dantana. Yep, you're right about the suffixes. That's why they took reading comprehension out of schools. Come on with it, brother. Shout out to Hydrogen. Shout out to Awakening Minds. LL, square feet knowledge. You cooking, fam. Classic stream. 2 steps equal a second on a clock. Come on, man. Y'all cooking too, boy. Good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about why I brought up the poison symbol. Because all the knowledge I'm giving y'all was the knowledge of how our soul entered creation through the great mother. And the mystery of creation is embodied in this symbol right here. And you can see this symbol all over the world. People in the tribe still got this symbol on them. Here it is right here too. Today we call it the skull and bone symbol or the pausing symbol, but it's just Mama Kali. It's a line with an X through it. And there are tribes that's going to show you right here what that means. That is the template of the cube. You can't create the cube without the mother. See, that's what I'm telling you. The cube is time. That's the hurricane. That's the father. But when they talk about Jesus being born from Mary, I'm showing you right now how the light is born from the black hole, because the black hole represents the blueprint, which is a symbol, which is an X with a line through it. That's a black hole. It represents a vortex, an invisible vortex. It's simply, I'm gonna show you on the board. This is all it is right here. This X with the line through it, see, that creates the cube, man. The cube don't create itself. It's born from the great mother. The cube is an expansion. It's basically when the light covers her. The great mother is the building blueprint. The building ain't there yet. And the great father is the building itself. But what come before the building is the blueprint. So it's like this, right? The great mother is this right here. This symbol represents the blueprint of creation. Right here. This symbol meant everything to the ancients. And the reason for that is this. It's the cube. This is the cube. That's the box. It's showing you that the goddess is how we even can create. This is space right here. This is space. So when I was talking about space-time, the man don't create space. He create motion. Motion. You can't say ocean without saying motion. And that go that Jin again. Shin. Shin. T-I-O-N is Jin. G-I-O-N. When this cube starts spinning and turning, that's called time. The motion of the cube is time. But the cube itself, that's an incubator. This is Vitruvian man. I just showed it to you, Leo. Another way they do it is like this. That's Vitruvian man. It's him in a box, him in a circle. It don't matter if it's a box or a circle because they both 360. And when he's in a circle, he's the same thing, a hamster on a wheel. If he's in the box, it represents the same truth, man. The box or the circle. So the sperm in the circle is you inside the cube, which is an incubator. In the cubator. And the ater is the ether. In the cube of the ether. Incubator. Incubator. Incube ether. The ether. The energy that creates this whole 360. It's cube, it's circle. But it's a man in the box. This is Jack in the box right here. Or the goddess creating space. Consciousness, when it comes on, and the conscious exploration through space is what we call time. Is motion. It's basically the hamster moving on the wheel. But the wheel itself is the goddess, the container. Nut. The hamster is Shu in the middle of Nut and Geb right here. The hamster inside of his wheel. And that's the wheel of the soul. The hamster got to keep running this race of life until it fulfills the will of God. This wheel, this 360 cycle is divine will. Something that God wants to do. It's the will of God, which is to become its greater version. And that's going to take the hamster doing a couple of revolutions in this 360, in this terrarium. But again, what is the hamster inside the terrarium? It is the Play-Doh ball in the middle of my hands getting molded. It's got to keep doing a lot of revolutions till we get it right, to its right version and sculpt it right. But this shows you how the goddess embodies all the secrets of space, which then automatically give you the secrets of time. This right here ain't nothing but a torus field, but the motion of the torus field is what we call time. The way that it recycles the energy in and around itself, the flow is time. Because of that, it will always reset itself like an hourglass, because the hourglass flips up and down. When the sand runs into one side, it flips, and you gotta flip it. That's a turning point in time where we go from light ages to dark ages. One part of the sand is in a dark hourglass. One part of the sand is in the clear one. When the sand is poured into the dark hourglass, we ignorant. It's a dark age. And when that hourglass flip over at the end of that age, then the sand started pouring into the clear hourglass. And when we get in that one, we can see the world beyond time's construct. And for that whole age, we are connected with the outside spiritual realm. Then when the hourglass flip again, the sand goes into the dark part that's covered. It's got one eye open, one eye closed. That's balance. Why? You can't have one without the other one. When God wanted knowledge, God created ignorance automatically. The moment God said, I want some called up to exist, it didn't matter if God wanted down to exist or not. Down started existing, because the things God willed it into creation requires a polar opposite in order for them to even exist. When God said, I wanted man to exist, then guess what? You wanted shadows to exist. If you want me to exist, I come with a shadow that I cast on the ground. You can't say, I want Sanchez, but I don't want his shadow. You can't have one without the other. It's a law. And the dark part of me that you don't want because it's skewed and it ain't a good representation of who I am, it's my shadow, it comes with the real me. And that's just a law. That this is the law right here. The celebrities know it. This is yin and yang. If you look at a yin yang symbol, you will literally see the Illuminati shit. They're demonizing your knowledge, and you won't get the truth because you don't get it. Once you get it, you're gonna start throwing up the symbols with them, and they gonna get scared. They gonna be, did he just throw up 666? Is that a trident? Oh, he's not offended by a swastika or the word nigga. He knows that it mean naga. That's when they get scared. When you start doing the symbols they doing, they know we waking up. They doing it hoping you don't do it because we associate everything they do with Satanism and devil shit. But it ain't nothing to be scared of. They're just hiding high knowledge. When they show you the one eye open and one eye closed, they giving you the cosmic secrets of the sun and moon. Why you think we shut our eyes under the moonlight and we open them up under the sunlight? It's simple. Yin and Yang. I'm simply using my own head to make the Yin Yang symbol. The split down my brain split is what's splitting this Yin Yang. And then when I shut one eye, it's to say that my left brain can't see heaven. The eye that's behind, the brain that's behind my left eye, it can't see into the heavenly realms. It's blind. It can only see capitalism and survival. My right eye, it can't see into the capitalistic world. It can only make actions from what's right and what feels that's the right thing to do from the heavenly realm. So you got two pieces of you. One of your eyes, which is the left brain, that's an eye, it can't see heaven. It can only rationalize within capitalism. And the eye that's open, which is the right brain, it can't see the underworld. It's gonna do everything based on the right decision in the spirit realm. But the two live together like this, like the yin and yang. One eye open, one eye can see into heaven, one eye can't. Every human is a one eye open, one eye closed individual. That's why you do good and bad. The yin yang showing us that. So why is the feminine associated with the lack of knowledge while embodying all the secrets of the universe? That's what I would ask. You know why? All of the secrets of the universe was never nothing that we had to learn and know. You learning knowledge is a result of your fall from heaven. In other words, the version of you that's in heaven is all knowing. It's not, it's the thing about it, what we call knowledge on the earth, it's just called normal in heaven. What we would call a God or a person that know everything, if I took you to a place and everybody was like that, it wouldn't be a thing no more. Just like if everybody had the same amount of riches, no one would be rich. So that's what I'm saying about, like, what we call knowledge ain't even called knowledge once you rise to heaven with all of this stuff. It's now called light. But the point is, you lost your light. You lost your connection to the realm of light when you became this darker version in the underworld. You rediscovering knowledge is you becoming brighter and brighter, which is why when a person get knowledge, they say he's bright. So who's brighter than God if God got all the knowledge? That means God got all the light. Your quest for knowledge is your quest to regain the light that you lost when you failed. All right? That's right. Peace and love with that. You ain't gaining nothing that you didn't have as while you learning about who you are, getting this knowledge. It's like something was taken from you and you just reclaiming your property. That's what you call learning. Is it really learning, or am I just getting back what I lost? There's no such thing as learning. You can't teach God nothing, man. God knew everything before he fell here. So anything you give God back is just some shit he lost when he fell. That's like me, right? Let's say I got a bunch of change in my pocket, and I fall down the steps and the strangers start picking my money up that I dropped. And then as they hand me my money back, they say, hey man, I'm giving you a loan. I'm about to give you some, right? And the person that don't know that they dropped that and that's it was their possession will call it learning. The act of me receiving something I didn't have from someone who did have it. But when you really put this thing in perspective, we ain't learning, we're remembering. Because all the knowledge that we seeking, we had it already. You lost it when you fail, because when people fall, they tend to drop shit. They don't just fall, they drop, they water and spill it, they drop their phone, right? They drop their possessions. Now, what you call learning is you just picking back up the stuff you lost when you fail. Is it learning or repossessing something that made you God in the first place? Light. It ain't knowledge, it's light, it's power. When God failed, he lost his power. And the regaining of knowledge is God regaining that power, that self-awareness that turned a human into a God. This is an awakening. It's not a learning experience. It's a wake your ass up experience. Ain't nobody teaching you nothing. I ain't teaching y'all nothing. I'm like Morpheus, bro. I'm reactivating and waking up something that was already in you, Nero. You knew it before you met me. That was something in you as a child that seeked something out in this world that wasn't right. It's the reason you here on this channel now and not in a church or in a mosque, because you were seeking something greater. It just wasn't enough for you. The church wasn't enough. The mosque wasn't enough. That was something about what you were seeking with the level of understanding that you saw that led you out of all the snares that the devil wanted to trap you in. Yeah. You ain't learning new knowledge. You're remembering who you are. That's it. And this information, when you download it, it's a nostalgic feeling, or what we call a aha moment. You have an aha moment when you remember something. If I forgot something and I go about my day and then I remember, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot I had to do this. How is that learning? That's remembering. Again, people, let me explain to you what I'm saying. Aha moments don't come to people who learning. They come to people who remembering. A aha moment is more of a applicable reaction for a person who forgot something and now they remember it. Oh yeah, that's what an aha moment is. It's a nostalgic memory. And our whole awakening process is full of aha moments, which is why I keep telling you, I'm not your teacher. I'm more of your awakener, if that's a word. I'm your Lekba, your Papa Lekba, your Morpheus, right? Morpheus could, his whole thing was making Neo activate who he already was with the knowledge that was already in him. Everything that Morpheus and the Oracle was doing for Neo wasn't to teach Neo anything. It was to make Neo remember that he was the one that's been resurrected now to save everyone. If you go and look at the Matrix again, Neo had came several times not knowing he was the one. And that movie is when he found out he was the one. And that's when he saved everything. Shout out to Stacy Galore. The dance between darkness and light will always remain. The stars and the moon will always need the darkness to be seen. That's right. That's right. But God can't learn. We call it learning But it's blasphemous because you say that you're all knowing. So when God loses knowledge, God don't learn. The learning is you didn't know something and I taught you something. What we experiencing as fallen gods is us recovering from an amnesia. So that would be like a person that was a mathematician, but they got into a car accident and now they forgot everything they learned as a college professor, as a mathematician. Now they don't know nothing about math. After that car accident, their mind kind of got affected and the mathematician don't even know how to add no more. So what happens is he gets a therapist, and the therapist going teach him math. But the therapist knows I'm not teaching this mathematician no damn math. I'm trying to wake this mathematician up so it can remember you need to be teaching me math, nigga. And so when the therapist works with the mathematician who lost his memory in an accident, it looks like the therapist is teaching him math, but the therapist ain't teaching him math. He already know everything about math. He forgot it. The therapist is reminding him that you're a damn mathematician. And when he wake up from his coma, all of that knowledge of him being a mathematician gonna be right there. And he gonna be able to teach me some damn math. Cause it may have looked like I was teaching the mathematician math, but the mathematician know more about math than me. I'm just a therapist helping him recover from amnesia. He's the mathematician. I'm just saying, hey, what's 2 times 2? 4. What's 8 divided by 8? If I do that enough with the mathematician, he'll remember, oh, I'm a mathematician. The memory will come back. I'm not teaching him math. It looked like it, but I'm not. I'm reactivating his memory of him being a master of math. So shout out to Awakening Minds. UREM, you remember. You see Maru, flat power, you cooking, fam. Much love. Yeah, I can't teach y'all nothing. I can give you aha moments where you remember, yeah. When a person say that resonate with me. Resonation mean what you just said, I remember it from somewhere. Not only do I rock with it, it's familiar to me. Even though I'm hearing it for the first time, it represents a level of thinking that I was at when I was 12. Maybe I wondered about the stars. Maybe when I was 9, I entered a paradigm, because when we young, we more open-minded. So when we get older and we go to opening our mind again, we open that Pandora's box again, and we revisit those old neurological highways that we had as a child that we forgot was even there. Sanchez started firing them motherfuckers up. I'm talking to a part of you that you was very familiar with as a child. We put that in the background when we went to go and get jobs and raise children. We had to tap into our capitalistic brain for some of us for at least 2 decades of what we call our adult life. We now have the luxury to shut our left brain down and only stimulate our right brain when you come to this space. And when I interact with your right brain, that's the part of you that's already connected to heaven. I can't teach it shit. I can only remind it something and give it these, oh yeah, aha moments. A aha moment is a memory, fam. That's, oh yeah, I knew I forgot to do something. Let me go. You see what I'm saying? That's a cosmic memory, and they hate aha moments because we reactivating that junk DNA. But all of this got to do with the 2 systems, one created by the Sky Father and one by the earth mother. And the reason I named the stream this way is because of me giving you all this divine feminine knowledge right now. I want you to understand the distinction. The reason you have an earth mother and the mother energy is nurturing. Because think about it, earth mother versus sky father. You don't see what's wrong with that, y'all? Think about it a minute. The father distances himself from you. The father put himself way up there in the clouds, looking down on everybody, ruling you like a tyrant. You need to let that sink in. During the pre-dynastic times, because that was before we created capitalistic systems, weren't no dynasties. Why wasn't it no dynasties? Because it was a tribal time on earth and everyone was thinking community. Not a few of us be the kings and queens and rule over the rest of us. That's capitalism. So again, the earth mothers is putting themselves on the earth with you. That's a person that's down to earth, that can relate to you. And that's the kind of person that has nurturing energy. The earth mother. Just of her, see, these cosmic deities, they always have a location linked to their title. Sky Father, Earth Mother. And you gotta always peep where their location is in perspective to man, because that's gonna show you where their ego is, where they see they self at in relation to you. And all of the sky daddies, they always looking down on you, man. You ever had somebody in your life that's always looking down on you? Anything they got to say about you is just negative. That's the God of the Bible. You a filthy sinner. I shouldn't have created you. I regret making man. I'm a punished man. This God is up there in the sky. His position tells you he's the egotistical demiurge. That's right. That's the part of every human that we gotta kill in order for us to make it up out of here. What the goddess represent is the rebirth of the new you after you destroyed that old egotistical you. That's the difference between Earth Mother and Sky Father. You need them both, though. You need them both. If someone say, I want to feel what it's like to experience awakening, then guess what you asking for? To be put to sleep. You can't feel what it's like to wake up if you don't let me put you to sleep. That's a paradox. You can't feel what it's like to be God if you don't first let me make you a devil first. Because God is a victorious soul that climbed up from the pits to seat himself in all glory at the throne. And if God is a title that one get through the process of ascension, the moment y'all ask to be gods, you ask to be a devil. It's a paradox. See, it's like a seed that's saying, I want to be a tree. The moment that seed asks to be a tree, it's asking to get buried down in the ground. The moment that seed asks me to make it into a tree, I got to bury it in darkness. And the seed may think it ain't getting what it's asking for, but it's getting everything it's asked for. It's just a paradox. The seed that says, turn me into a tree, when you drop it down there in the dirt and cover it up, it's gonna say, wait a minute, I told you to make me a tree, that's like you. You asked to be a god, but the universe made you a devil. and we're confused. We thinking, why did the universe give me the opposite of what the hell I asked for? Why does it seem like my entire existence is a contradiction to what I really desire and really know that I am and what I'm capable of being on an ultimate level? It's a paradox. Whatever you ask the universe for, you got to get the opposite first. Again, you got to bend down to jump up. This is a law, y'all. The moment you told the universe to make you a god, it immediately turned you into a devil. Dropped your ass in the underworld. Why? You want to be a god, right? That's like the seed that's asking to be a tree. Do you really want to be a tree? Because I can leave you on my desk as an innocent little seed and you will be good. But the moment the seed say, fuck that, I'm ready to be a tree, I got to drop you down in darkness, my little friend. See, that seed can stay on my desk forever. The next generation of humans can plant that seed when I'm gone. That seed is consciousness frozen in time, like the movie Demolition Man. How many of y'all ever saw Demolition Man? They was able to freeze these humans in time, and then they can wake them up out the millions of years and thaw them out, and there you go again. Every seed is an apple tree frozen in time, cloned by infinity. It's the consciousness of what we call, let's say if it's an apple seed, and we just took that consciousness and put it in an incubator so that we can activate the tree when we get ready. We freezing it in time. It ain't gonna be born till we get ready. In other words, we decide when it's born into the real world because the apple tree is inside of a little shell called a seed casing. A big tree is in there. We decide when to let it break out of its shell and transform by dropping it in darkness. Every human in this earth realm need to fucking be proud. You need to look in the mirror and be proud, because just like a gardener that's looking into his collection and saying, what are the best seeds to plant? Because you don't plant any seed. You got to plant the ones that's already got somewhat of a germination, a sprouting process going. You know them ready to bust open. They shell ain't all that strong. It's poking out a little bit, just drop him on down, he gonna transform. All of us right now are waking up because we already saw some of the light even before we was dropped down in here in the underworld, because the germination process. What is that? See, the thing about it is this: you chosen to be here right now because our high priesthood in the base reality know that you got the potential to transform. It ain't about them believing in you. It's about you believing in you. Our ancestors believe in us. That's why we here. They know we can transform. They wouldn't drop you down here in darkness if they didn't know you couldn't climb your way out of here through transformation. Just like a gardener. The gardener believes in every seed he dropped, else he wouldn't drop it. If he thought this seed was defected or wasn't gonna harvest, he wouldn't even waste that slot, right? He wouldn't even plant that defected seed. The fact that you're here right now in darkness, as hard as it is, I know, it means something very special, y'all. This is very good stuff. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Everything happening the way it's supposed to happen. Let the world around you get chaotic and fall the fuck apart. And you keep this energy right here. See, when a seed is in the ground and it's trying to transform, the world around it gonna be chaotic. It's gonna be animals in the ground getting hunted. It's going to be bad weather out there going on. And regardless of what's happening out there, that seed going to still be trying to transform in its little pit. And it ain't worrying about the outside world. That seed don't care about the hamster that just got ate by the snake. The seed don't care about the lion that just ate the gazelle. The seed don't care about the hurricane that just came. The seed don't care. All that seed in its own world transforming in darkness, self-exploration, the knowledge of self is the only thing gonna transform it, and it can't worry about nothing else. That's why anytime I'm teaching y'all something, I'm giving you the knowledge of self about you, and I'm gonna use my syncretism and all that to tie the information in to teach you about what you are. And anytime somebody teaching you about some sky daddy or something outside of yourself, it's wasting your time and your energy, and you are a seed in the ground that's distracting yourself from your transformation process. Mother Earth. Why? Because the ground is an incubator that's allowing me, the seed, to transform. That's why we respect the divine feminine. That's why we respect our earths. Our earths are our women. Mother Earth. Because the ground is a womb that allow many life forms to give birth. And if we think this way about how we treat the ground and treating that as sacred as we treat the womb, we'll have heaven on earth. Because being fruitful isn't just about having a sacred respect for the womb. A lot of these kind of streams, people think you're going to come up here and start worshiping the womb. I'm going deeper than that. It ain't just a bunch of yoni talk. But what I was saying was that the earth is an embryo. The ego is an egg. The word ego is egg. And when the chicken hatches from the egg, the soul hatches from its covering, its egotistical covering. Your ego is your egg. And to be born again in heaven, to be born in heaven, you got to be born out of hell, which is the ego. The earth around you is an embryo or a yoni or the great mother, what they call the cosmic womb. It's simply the world around you. You're in a big womb. In other words, the ancestors didn't tell a baby that was born that you was through being born. Let me tell you something. First of all, let me show you what the universe is. Let's clean this board. We can clean this up. Hold on. Because I'm being kind of junky and cluttery. Let's just take a minute to wipe this down. It'll make everything better. See, whenever we dealing with sperms and eggs and birth and fertility, remember all of the goddesses were what? Fertility goddesses. Now, why was all the goddesses fertility goddesses? Fertility talk has been watered down. The fertility conversation was talking about how souls become humans. It was the knowledge of how a soul transforms into a human body. It wasn't just a bunch of people talking about having sex and creating babies. It was talking about how man was created as a fallen angel. All of these goddesses were fertility goddesses, but all of their symbolism is talking about the great fall of man, not just about having sex, making babies. Because fertility or the creation of a human starts on a spiritual level at conception. The knowledge of how a soul becomes flesh would have been taught through these goddesses, not just fertility stuff. Of course, they got to water it down. But anytime you talking about fertility, eggs, babies, genetics, sex, biology, I call it embryonic talk, embryonic conversations. What is an embryo? Embryo. Let me show you something. The universe is an embryo or a yoni, a womb, or incubator. So when you say universe, you're saying yoniverse. But like I said, the universe up there is the same thing they studying under a microscope. When they looking at sperms go into eggs in the sky, what those represent souls going into different stargates in the sky. Everything that's happening on a so-called microscopic level is happening on a macroscopic level in the sky. When we see scientists collecting eggs from women, this is like the devil dropping the stars from the sky. In the book of Revelation, it say because when Satan rise up on the earth, it say that the stars will fall from the sky. But what they ain't teaching y'all is the Bible was speaking scientific language of people like Peter Nygaard buying black women's eggs. Your eggs are stars in the sky. Those are Stargate port. The egg in a woman, the eggs are different stargates that lead to different parallel realities. Once she come in contact with a man, he's the other missing part to open her stargate up to allow another soul to come through her. He's like the key. She's the keyhole. And when the key go in the keyhole, they unlock new life, which is a baby. Everything happening on a biological microscopic level, NASA talking about it in the space program. So when they say a comet just crashed into this star right here, they probably talking about a baby that's born in some other country. But see, my whole thing is they always looked at birth and sync the birth to what was happening in the heavens, which is why Jesus had a star. The birth of Jesus was symbolized as what? A star, because of what I'm teaching you. So when you dealing with the embryo, you studying the woman on a embryonic level. You studying the universe. You can't escape the yoni. When you say embryonic, the yonic part is what you want to focus on, the yonic. Because it ties into the fact that the female embryo are representations of parallel realities. In other words, the woman's egg ain't physical. It's a wandering star. It's a portal. It's a vortex into a parallel reality. And the people that's out there to collect female eggs, they are trying to study space. You got to understand how NASA and the DNA genetic people are like in the same building, nigga. They might as well be in the same building. The people that study space have a direct connection to the people that study in biology and DNA. And the companies that are investing in surveilling the heavens are also investing in manipulating DNA and genetics. Why is there a big relationship between humans' race and understanding of the stars with our manipulation of DNA? Because the universe that they're studying is taking place in our biology on a microscopic level, and understanding the goddess or the divine feminine will unlock the secrets of the entire universe, because we've only been given the knowledge of the God. We're missing one half of the yin yang. And once we get the other half, which is the female, the divine feminine, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. And that's why any kind of feminine knowledge, it don't get a lot of views. Look at how many views I got now. If I was talking about Yahweh or the demiurge, I would have thousands of people here. But because I'm talking about the goddesses, whenever I get on her story to his story, I got the, it ain't about views because I get less views with that. This pre-dynastic knowledge ain't popular, but it must be taught because this is where all of the mysteries gonna. You only got one half, and everybody fascinated with the masculine, the mythologies of Zeus and the stories of conquering and all of that Jesus but the goddesses are more subtle. It ain't as exciting, but it's more peaceful. It presents more self-work that you have to do on yourself versus believing in a savior, which is why the goddess talk ain't popular. But the goddess talk is the embryonic conversation that will unlock all the secrets of the universe. It'll bring what? Unity, which is what? Unity. What happens in the womb? There's a merge between the high self and low self. Unity happens in the yoni. So when you say yoni, all you want to do is put a TY. Unity is unity because what takes place in the womb is a unity between polarizing forces. Your higher self came together and married your lower self, and look at the beautiful you that they created. Unity happens in the womb. The earth is a big womb that's allowing the two polarizing versions of the self to exist in what? Unity. So night and day, up and down, man and woman exist in what? Unity. Inside of the ether. The yin and the yang exist in what? A circle. That circle is the ether. That's the container of these polarizing forces. This container is also the unifying medium that keeps the two loving each other. Just like a man and woman in a bed gonna eventually get freaky, baby. The bed is the ether. The dual forces that exist within the ether is what we call a man and woman. But the reason why the divine feminine force is so important is because we're trying to figure out what a tornado is by only studying the warm front. When a tornado is a culmination of a warm front merging with a cold front, making a vortex. So if we only study the masculine, we'll never know what this tornado is or what DNA is. The mysteries of DNA gonna be hidden. It's like if I give you a key, but I never teach you what a door is. You can study that key forever, but you will never figure out what that key is for because I never even told you what a door was or what a keyhole is. So no matter how long your scientists study the key, they'll never know what it is because they don't have the door and the keyhole. You can't have one without the other. And they got us only studying one thing so that we can't see the yin and yang in totality, the entire vortex. That's the difference between the earth mothers and the sky fathers. The earth mothers gave you the knowledge of the earth in totality through a process of showing you how, hey, we was all once ignorant just like you. And guess what? Your ignorance ain't nothing to be ashamed of. Let me give you the truth about who you are, young man. That's a good system. That's called Mother Earth system, a down-to-earth system where the oracles of the field wasn't trying to monopolize knowledge. Why? Because mothers love their babies a lot, just like fathers do, I'm hoping. But the mother has a deeper attachment. She wants, it's like she ain't trying to compete with the baby. She wanting to thrive. The system that the great mothers, that the earth mothers created, again, earth mother mean they down here on the earth with you. It creates a down to earth spiritual system. Whereas the sky fathers create a system where a few men know the truth and put themselves up here in the sky and they dumb everybody else down. That's the difference. The sky father system create capitalism. The earth mother system creates sovereignty, equality, and justice for all. By everyone being down to earth and looking at the man in ignorance and saying, hey, let's empower him too with knowledge so that he can become a god. That's the Mother Earth system. Each one teach one. Community, tribal. The father, the sky father system is, hey, let every man that can be deceived be deceived. That's a quote from Aleister Crowley. That's how you create capitalistic system where a few up here and some down there. It starts with what everybody know. So the people that control the world have hidden knowledge that they don't want to share with everyone else. Knowledge is power. And the reason they stay in power is by keeping the knowledge secret. But they can't suppress the knowledge for long. We at the end of an age, and with Aquarius coming, all of that knowledge coming back to the earth. And because of that, they are scrambling to create this new system to suppress this awakening. I hope y'all learned something today. That's the end of what I got for y'all. Been on here for 3 hours, and I'm gonna do a part 2 to this because it was so much that I got to go over. I didn't do it all. It's a lot of more stuff that I had to teach. I didn't go into it, but I'm at my time. I've only given you like 20% of the whole lecture, so I'm gonna have to do a part 2 to this. Shout out to Marlon Wells. Once a person come up, they forget where they came from. Keep cooking, bro. Not everybody, but I get what you're saying. Shout out to Johnny Cali. He gifted a membership, man. Appreciate it. Gifting the memberships out there. Thank you for being a member, Johnny Cali, and for gifting others a membership. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. But be on the lookout for a part 2 because I really didn't even touch the surface, y'all. I rambled and didn't even go to my notes for real. And I really got a lot of deep stuff queued up on my tab. So I'll just, tomorrow, Sunday, I'll just come back tomorrow and finish this with a part 2 because, man, I got so much stuff for y'all. It's crazy. It is crazy, bro. And deep stuff. But I gotta stop it. We had 3 hours. That other live ain't tonight. That don't premiere to Christmas. I just got it counting down for now because the algorithm it's a good look for the algorithm when you schedule stuff in advance and stuff. It helps the channel. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. I got to get up out of here. And yes, be on the lookout tomorrow. Shout out to my Patreons and my channel members on all my channels. I'm spreading myself thin. I got so many channels, but I am gonna start feeding every channel, but it starts with this one first. This is my baby here. Yeah, let me get out of here. Peace and much love, man. That's it as far as the donations. We gotta go. See y'all tomorrow is what I'm shooting for, around about 4 o'clock, probably. About 4 o'clock Pacific time. Peace and much love, everybody. Be safe. Salutes to the women. Let's put the divine feminine back into the equation so that we can bring back balance to the earth. Peace and much love. See y'all on the next one. I love y'all.